Good evening, and thank you for joining us today. We are very, very happy to have Hannah Porter with us today. And before we start, I just wanted to share a couple of things, housekeeping issues here. This is a meeting, and during Hannah's presentation, we will be muting the audience. However, you're welcome to type in your questions in the chat, and Hannah will get to them after the event. And if you'd like to be muted afterwards to ask your own question, you can put that in the chat, and we can unmute you to have that kind of a conversation. I am going to go ahead and share a screen. If you would like to buy a book, Hannah's book, The Seep, or any other books, we do partner with bookstore, and we have been partnering with them for a lot of years. And they're a great bookstore down in Glenwood and Savage. Let me just go ahead and share that screen. Video. Can you see that screen? The store is Books with a Past, and if you can buy ebooks or physical books, which they will ship to you. So it's up to you, however you would like to buy the books. And I will also be sending out this information in the follow-up email. We will be recording this event, recording the author's presentation part of the event, and we will not be recording the Q&A. To introduce Hannah Porter, she wears many hats. She is a writer, she's a playwright, she's a teacher, and she is a MacDowell Colony Fellow. She is also the co-founder of the Octavia Project, which is a STEM and fiction writing program for girls, gender non-conforming youth from underserved communities. And she lives in Brooklyn. She is a New Yorker, but she is also, she also travels to the West. So she's kind of between both the coasts. And she is, of course, she has her family right here around us in Columbia. And Hannah is currently working on her next novel, and we would love to hear something more about that during this conversation. Thank you and welcome, Hannah. We are so happy to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me. Yes, I am a Columbia born and bred person, and my entire family still lives there, so it's very sweet for me to be doing this event with you today. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about what the shape of tonight will be, because I thought it would be kind of fun. The whole Zoom thing is still a little strange. As you all now know, teaching is something that I very much love to do. And I thought it would be fun to sort of talk a little bit about my book and then talk more about the creative writing process, how we maybe can build a world, and then to really try some things with each other. So I just want to make sure, does everyone have paper and pen? I'm very pro paper and pen in this kind of generative creative writing exercise rather than typing. So if you want to pause, run and get some paper and pen, of course. Should you have a physical problem with that, typing's fine. But I just find that I love to write my first really generative, really rough drafts, long form paper and pen, because it helps me get out of vague kind of like product brain thinking about what it might look like when it's done. And it really helps me be in what I like to call the creative dark. So really generative, really like a space of the possible. And you can see that I scroll, so there's no problem with me feeling like this is a finished product. So the shape of tonight will be, I have a handy dandy whiteboard. I will talk a little bit about what we're going to do. That's now. And then I will just share a little bit from the first part of my debut novel, The Seep. And then we will do a writing warm-up. This will be a 5-minute, very generative, very silly, very loose thing that no one will ever see. It's just really for you to start to get those juices flowing, to feel unencumbered. And then we will get to the meat, and that is our long form writing exercise. So that will be about 20 minutes, and then we will have a Q&A time where I think you all will type things in the chat. They will be read to me, and I will respond to them as best as I can. So grab your pen and paper. I'm going to start with a little PSA. I am a person who stutters, so should you hear me kind of stammer or repeat, there's nothing wrong with your screen. There's nothing wrong with our connection. That's just the way that I speak. So sit back, relax. I'm gonna share with you just a little taste of the start of my book. Tips for throwing a dinner party at the end of the world. Relax. People may think they want to indulge, get too drunk, incapacitate themselves with weed, but truly they just want to appreciate this fragile moment while the outside world falls down. Your party should facilitate this easeful enjoyment, not lead loved ones to panic through overconsumption. Be present. And remember, you don't know what's happening in the morning. So while an orgy might very well be the perfect thing, you don't want to spend your last night on earth trying to cajole your friends into a particular kind of revelry. Be present. Clean your apartment until it sparkles. Shower, of course, and anoint your body with fragrant oils, but then wear your most beloved sweatpants. Make a wide selection of delicious food, high in protein, complex carbohydrates, and healthy fats. Serve wine, but also a lovely selection of herbal teas. Juice spritzers in fancy goblets will allow your guests to hydrate while feeling opulent. Remember, should someone start crying, don't try to shut them down nor change the subject. Be present. Eventually, the conversation will flow to other things, typically to the past and how great it was, even though we didn't know it at the time, and the future, that shimmering mercurial beast constantly breaking our hearts. So I want to stop there because I don't want to plant too much of the seed of my story into your brains. I would love, love, love for you to check this book out, either from the library or from that wonderful bookstore, Books with a Past. I want to say that I had a thought, and that thought when I started this book was, what if peers of mine, living very much the way that peers of mine do at this time, what if some sort of huge planet altering event occurred? How would the people in my life, how would someone maybe like that deal with something that was a huge change? So I took this idea of a very gentle but all-encompassing alien invasion, something that would touch and change every single part of life as we knew that. And then I projected 30 years to the future. So that's part of what I want us all to do today. And I will guide us through a lot of twists and a lot of turns. So I don't want you to feel like you need to plan, and I don't want you to feel like you need to know what kind of shape your story might take. I want you to come to this place in the total dark as much as you can. So should you not have a thought about any of the things that I just said, you don't know what it's going to be like 30 years from now, that's all great. I want you to come clear, let's say, rather than blank, to come with a blank slate. So for our next part, we will need some paper and we will need some pens. You might hear a lovely little dog being loud every now and again. So get your paper, get your pen. I will set a timer. This will be a 1-minute prompt. And your task, should you choose to accept it, I want you to commit to, when I say go, I want you to keep your pen moving on the page the entire time. So should you feel kind of stuck or blank or clear, I want you to scribble like that. I want you to scribble until something comes, okay? So the first things will just be really silly warm-ups. I'm gonna set a timer. Everybody ready with your pens? I'm gonna trust that you're all saying, yes, we are. Okay, I'm pressing start, and when I say go, I want you to write down as many spices as you can think of. Ready, go. How many spices can you write down in 1 minute? Maybe some of things are things that you're not sure if they are a spice. Maybe some of them are spices from another planet or spices from a magical place that you just made up. How many things that could or might be a spice can you write down? And the challenge, keep the pen moving on the page. Final countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Try to get one more in. Okay, good. Let it go. No one will ever have to see this. Warm up number 2, trying to get us feeling limber. This is a one that's very silly that I made up for you all today. Yes, this is fast food restaurants that no one has ever heard of, and that probably no one would want to go to. Can you think of the most terrible sounding fast food or wonderful? I don't know. Ready for a minute? Start. Keep the pen moving on the page. You get a bonus point should you make yourself laugh. Final push, final countdown, and stop. Okay, so we're warm, yes? Maybe shake out the palms. So we will be going towards now our extended writing exercise, and we will try to keep this saying yes to what comes. And I challenge, and of course, like I like can't make you all, one, because I can't even see, but I challenge you all to keep the pen moving on the page the entire time. My other favorite thing is sometimes I'll write, I don't know, 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 and then suddenly you'll know something will occur. So this is, I will be setting a 20-minute timer now. And the other thing that I want to say is that I will be telling you a new part of this long prompt pretty much every minute. So there is no way that you can fully respond to everything that I say. It is impossible. So let go of trying to do it right or trying to do it perfect. You will not leave today with like a neat, fully edited story. What I hope though that you do leave with today will be a sense of a lot of thorny, exciting, complicated possibilities. So I want you to say yes to what comes. Should you start to feel like I'm taking you away from your favorite part and you want to go back to it, maybe make a star and know that you can go back when I'm done. I really try to write from like unconscious, creative, dark, unknown side of my brain. And then when I have like a lot of content, then I go and I put on like conscious mind, critical brain, editor brain, all of that stuff. I need her too. We don't throw that out. She plays like a very, very big part, but I feel like bringing your editor brain to your generative process is just a way to kind of torture yourself. You know, you don't want someone saying, well, that's dumb, or that's been done, or that's too much like this other book that I've read, or why would someone say that, or blah, blah, blah. You want to work through all of that stuff to find where those kind of jewels are in the dark, in the creative dark, in the unknown. And that's where the really good, surprising stuff can come through. So trying not to judge, trying to say yes to what comes. Yeah? Okay, so we are about to do kind of a marathon. Those last two were kind of sprints. So I want you to maybe, I don't know, stretch a little bit, feel in your body. Yeah, maybe get a sip of something. And say, I'm going to really try to write for 20 minutes straight, and I will try to say yes to what comes. Okay? Okay. Everybody take a big deep breath. So I want you to imagine that you are now 30 years in the future. But here's your first twist. You are not from this planet. You are some other being from some other place, and somehow you are looking down at our globe from above. So you see this beautiful blue-green swirl, and you think, I want to travel down. So get out your pens. You land in an uninhabited place. From what you can tell, there's no one who would seem like a person in this place. What do you see? So you land on our planet in an uninhabited place. What does the air smell like? What does the weather feel like today? Is it daytime or nighttime? You see something that looks like plant life. You have never seen this kind of plant. Describe, please. You hear something. There's a rustling. You turn to see an animal. What is it? What does it look like? What is it doing? So for anyone who didn't get that, you have turned your head to see an animal of some kind. What's it up to? There's a strange sound followed by another sound. What is it? The sound has now changed. It's turned into beautiful, beautiful music. You decide to follow this beautiful music. This music takes you to a populated place. There are buildings, there are people, there are animals. Describe the buildings to start. What do you think they're used for? Do you think people work there, play, live? So you have followed the music to a populated place. There are buildings, people, and animals. Describe what the buildings look like and what you might think their function in this society is. You now see a group of very small people. You get more close and then you realize that they are children. Observe them for a time. And then I want you to write down 3 things that the children say. What are 3 things that the children say? Try to keep the pen moving on the page. You might just write, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Or, Chana's so strange. That's fine too. Okay, you now see there's a parent with a child, and they have some sort of object. There's a parent with a child, and they're both holding something. What is it? Now, you have a very special kind of technology, and this allows you to blend any place that you travel to. So as you walk through this place, people think that you're one of them. They might not know who you are, but no one's looking at you strange. So if someone comes up and starts to make what you might call small talk, what are some of the things that they say? Someone comes up and starts to have a chat. What does this person chat to you about? Keep saying yes to what comes. Keep the pen moving on the page. There's a sound that seems sort of out of place. What is it? A strange sound. Other people turn too. It's kind of a surprise. Now there's a couple having an argument. What are 3 things that they say to one another? You turn to see there's a couple having an argument. It's a lover's spat. What are 3 things that are said? Your stomach growls. You'd like to eat something. Do you think that you can get a meal in this place? Your stomach growls. You are hungry. Can you get a meal? Will someone feed you? You observe a ritual taking place. There is some sort of ritual taking place. It has to do with several different people, perhaps a crowd. Describe what you see, what you hear, what the mood of the people taking part in this ritual feels like. What do you think this ritual might be connected to? What role does it play in this society? Are the people doing this to demarcate time? Is it a holiday? Some sort of ceremony? Are there religious connotations? Does someone seem to be in charge? So you observe a ritual taking place. Write about that in as much detail as you can. Final pushes. I want you to describe one piece of art that you saw in this place today. It could be a song, it could be a painting or a sculpture. It could be something made by a child or by a professional. It could be a dance. It could be a work of theater. Could be a book. What is a work of art in this place? It could have to do with clothes or textiles. Okay. Finally, you're traveling back to your vessel. It's time for you to get back to whatever kind of craft you came to this place in. But on your return, you notice 3 things about this place that you did not until now. What are these 3 things that you did not notice until you were returning back to the craft, the journey back to the craft, and then the journey from the craft back up into outer space? What are 3 maybe hidden things, secret things, things that are just harder to see at the start? What can you notice now that you have spent a little time amongst these people? What can you see now that you didn't? And right to the end of your thought, okay, do we feel complete? Okay, do a little dance because you just wrote for 20 minutes straight. Give yourself some applause. Maybe shake it out a little bit. That's like a lot. I like to pretend that I have like a mini symphony stretch. So we're now at the Q and A part. I wanted to give you just a little tiny taste of some of the things that I like to think about, just in terms of there's so much about our lives that we take for granted, just in terms of like how culture is made, things that we agree to. And what I really love about fantasy and about sci-fi is that it kind of takes all of those like basic assumptions, and then we can really like test and play. Like, what if our cities weren't designed in the way that they are? What if parents didn't live with their children? What if marriage didn't look the way that it does in this country, on this planet? Libraries are pretty much my favorite thing to think about with that, because they're like a relatively young thing in our country. Having a public, free community library, that's a relatively young concept. So that's the kinds of things that I really like to think about when we're talking about like building a reality from scratch. So I would love to take some time to hear from you all. I would love any sort of thoughts about the process, but I would love to know too, like what that was like. If you surprised yourselves with any of the things that came through, I would love to know about your process today too.